The African savanna elephant. Walking alongside an African savanna elephant does not feel like encountering an animal. It is more like being next to a mountain that breathes and has decided to set itself in motion. It is the largest land animal that walks the earth today, a living relic from an era of giants. These colossi can reach 6 tons in weight. Imagine 4 compact cars stacked one on top of the other and reaching nearly 4 millimeters in height up to the shoulder. But its size is only the prologue of its true story. What truly defines the savanna elephant is the intelligence that shines behind those small eyes and the almost alien complexity of its physiology. Let us talk about its trunk, one of the most fascinating and perfect anatomical structures of the animal kingdom. It is not just an elongated nose. It is a muscular hydrostatic organ that contains more than 40,000 individual muscles. To put it in perspective, the entire human body has fewer than 700. This tool grants it an unprecedented versatility in nature. It is powerful enough to uproot trees and delicate enough to pick up a single blade of grass or gently clean the eye of a newborn calf. It functions as a hand, nose, straw for drinking, weapon, and communication device, all in one. Its ears are not a simple aesthetic feature. They are high-precision thermal radiators. By moving them, the elephant can cool its blood by up to 5 degrees, a vital mechanism to survive the extreme temperatures of sub-Saharan Africa. Even its feet are a marvel of biological engineering. They are designed with pads of fat and fibrous tissue that act as sonic shock absorbers. This allows them to walk in almost absolute silence despite their weight, and even more surprising, to detect seismic vibrations through the ground, allowing them to hear storms or calls from other elephants dozens of kilometers away. Socially, they live in a sophisticated and emotional matriarchy. The oldest female leads the herd, and her brain is literally the survival library of the group. She remembers the exact location of waterholes that she visited 30 years ago during a catastrophic drought. They communicate through infrasounds, sounds so low that humans cannot perceive them, but that make the air and the ground vibrate. They are true ecosystem engineers. By digging in search of water, they create wells that save other species, and by dispersing seeds through their dung, they are responsible for the reforestation of entire continents. They are the central pillar that sustains life in the savanna. The African forest elephant in the perpetual shadows of the Congo Basin, where sunlight barely manages to filter through the canopy, lives the secret cousin of the savanna, the forest elephant. For decades, science made this mistake of considering them a simple, small version of their open land relatives. However, deep genetic analyses carried out in 2010 revealed an astonishing truth. They are as different from the savanna elephant as a tiger is from a lion. Their lineages separated evolutionarily more than 500,000 years ago, adapting to completely opposite worlds. The forest elephant is more compact, darker, and of a more elusive temperament. Its tusks are an astonishing adaptation to life in the dense jungle. Instead of curving outward, they point straight downward, as if they were mining picks. The shape allows them to navigate through tangled vegetation without getting trapped. Their ears are perfectly circular, a more efficient geometric shape to dissipate heat in a high humidity environment where there are no large wind currents. But their role is perhaps the most critical for the health of our planet. They are the gardeners of carbon. When feeding, they prefer fast-growing and softwood trees, which allows hardwood trees, those that have a massive capacity to absorb and store CO2, to have light and space to thrive. It has been calculated that without forest elephants, the Congo rainforest would lose between 6% and 9% of its carbon capture capacity, which would drastically accelerate global warming. They are the invisible guardians of the world's climate. Tragically, their population has been devastated by poaching. Their ivory is denser and has a unique pinkish tint, which makes it the most coveted and expensive on the black market, pushing them to the very brink of extinction. The Asian elephant. While African elephants have remained in a state of wild freedom, the Asian elephant has intertwined its cultural DNA with that of humanity for more than 4 millennia. They have been engines of empires, living religious symbols and tireless working companions. In the jungles of India, Thailand, or Sri Lanka, the elephant is not seen only as an animal, but as an embodied deity. Ganesha, remover of obstacles. Physically, their distinction is immediate. They are smaller than their African cousins. They have rounded ears and present a forehead with 2 distinctive domes that house a complex brain. A fascinating detail is that only some males possess visible tusks. Most females have small internal tusks called touches. This trait has been accentuated by artificial selection caused by the house, leaving a population mostly tuskless without tusks. Their trunk is also different, with a single upper lobe that they use with a pincer precision to manipulate small objects. The intelligence of the Asian elephant is legendary in the world of ethology. They are capable of solving complex problems, using tools creatively, such as making their own fly swatters with branches, and they show a self-awareness that few animals possess, recognizing themselves, without doubt, in front of a mirror. The bond they form with their caretakers, the mahouts, is deep and can last more than 50 years, based on a gestural and vocal communication that borders on the telepathic. However, this bridge between species is breaking. The loss of 95% of their original habitat has turned coexistence into a bloody conflict. Today, the survival of the Asian elephant depends on our ability to share space, respecting the migratory routes that they have followed since before our cities existed. The woolly mammoth. If we could go back 10,000 years, we would find a world dominated by ice and by a creature designed to conquer it. The woolly mammoth was not simply an elephant with fur. It was a marvel of evolutionary engineering, optimized to survive in the mammoth steppe, a frozen biome that connected Europe with North America. Its body was a thermal fortress. They possessed a layer of subdermal fat up to 10 centimeters thick, covered by dense wool and topped by outer hairs that could reach a meter in length. Their ears were tiny to minimize the surface exposed to freezing, and on their back they presented a hump of fat that acted as a fuel reserve for the darkest winters. Their tusks were survival tools, curved in perfect spirals of up to 5 meters. They used them as mechanical shovels to push aside snow and reach the dry grass of the tundra. Even their blood was special, with a hemoglobin adapted to transport oxygen efficiently in below zero temperatures. Our ancestors lived in the shadow of these giants. They were not only their main source of food and shelter, but they became the center of their cosmogony, as demonstrated by the exquisite paintings in the caves of the CO. Thanks to natural freezing in Siberia, we have recovered specimens so intact that they retain liquid blood and cells that today feed scientific dreams of de-extinction. Their disappearance marks one of the saddest moments in natural history. Although climate change at the end of the Pleistocene reduced their habitat, the arrival of humans with stone-tipped spears sealed their fate. On the solitary island of Brangle, the last mammoths died just 4,000 years ago, coinciding with the construction of the pyramids of Giza. Straight-tusked elephant. Before the cold brought the mammoths, the true king of the warm European periods was the Paleoloxodon anticus. If you think the current elephant is big, this animal would force you to look at the sky. It could reach 4.5 meters in height and weigh the astronomical figure of 15 tons. It was the most massive land mammal that has ever walked through Europe, surpassing in weight any other elephant in history. Its name is its description. It possessed astonishingly long and straight tusks that projected forward like Fourmier's ivory spears. They were specialists in temperate climates and deciduous forests. During the intervals between glaciations, these colossi walked across what are now the lands of Spain, France, and the United Kingdom. Being so massive, their metabolic needs were extreme. A single individual needed to devour more than 400 kilos of vegetation each day, which dictated a social structure of very small and nomadic groups, so as not to desertify their environment. The most fascinating thing is their coexistence with the Neanderthals. Archaeological findings show that our extinct cousins not only took advantage of dead individuals, but carried out strategic hunts of these giants. Imagine the social organization and the courage required to face a 15-ton beast with Stone Age technology. The disappearance of this elephant about 30,000 years ago, when the world plunged again into a glacial cold that they could not withstand, marked the end of the most imposing megafauna that the European continent has ever seen. The mirror of the giants. The saga of elephants is a chronicle of resistance and a lesson of humility for our species. They have survived glaciations, continental drift, and the radical transformation of the planet. They are the architects of forests, the diggers of wells of life, and the bearers of an ancestral culture based on respect and mourning. When an elephant touches the bones of an ancestor, it is reminding us that memory and emotion are not exclusively human traits. Today, the balance of their survival is in our hands. Every time we lose an elephant, we lose a part of the wisdom of the earth, and a fundamental link that maintains global biodiversity. It is we who will decide whether these giants will continue shaping the landscapes of the future, or whether, like the mammoth and the straight-tusked, they will become only shadows carved in stone and ice. Because a world without the rumble of elephants would be a much smaller world, emptier, infinitely more lonely. If you want to continue exploring the history of the creatures that defined our world, subscribe so you do not miss our next journey to the heart of nature. Yeah,